What screams that person that everyone hates? Drama free, frick the haters. I'm so real, everyone else just can't handle it. People are just so fake. Usually embroiled in drama non-stop, and their personality is about as deep as an inflatable toddler pool. Usually if you're a real genuine person, you don't need to go around screaming it and declaring it either. Some people just seem to have a problem with everyone. He's a piece of crap. She's a bee. He's annoying. 9 times out of 10 they are completely ignorant to the fact that the only common denominator is them. If you run into an butthole, well, you ran into an butthole. If everyone you run into is an butthole, odds are you are the butthole. If a person makes a big deal out of doing something that they should be doing anyway, e.g., I take care of my kids, I always tell the truth, I'm always on time for work, I shower regularly, etc., that person is best avoided. They're usually anything but what they claim to be. You're not supposed to go to jail. You're low expectation having motherfucker. I have a co-worker that will cut your story off mid-sentence to one-up you with their own story that's barely even related to the topic at hand. They are so self-involved and long-winded that people will see him in the break room and decide to take the elevator to one of the other break rooms on another floor. Mayo. People who just keep talking about themselves. They talk and talk and talk. They'll ask you a question, and while you're mid-answer they will cut you off and start talking about themselves. A person who constantly has to make everything about them. They will always redirect with an answer about them, wasting time in meetings so they can tell you about their BS that no one cares about, or announcing how awesome they are. Yuck. I think I come across like this sometimes, but I'm really just trying to relate and continue the conversation. It completely relies on picking up social cues, which I suck at. Yelling at a checkout clerk at Walmart. I mean, like, seriously, what could they have done to you to make you that upset? Maybe you need some anger management training. I dated a girl back in the day that absolutely lost it on a Taco Bell worker because of some sour cream. I couldn't believe how something so insignificant could lead to her being so rude to someone who was making absolute crap food at 2 AM for next to nothing. I let her know how I felt about it, and we basically stopped talking altogether that night. So there's a guy in my class that everyone hates, which I feel bad about now. The thing with him is that when you meet him, within the first or second question he'll say something negative about you. It could be he's trying to be sarcastic, but to play it safe, keep to positive things on the first few sentences back and forth. I'm all for ripping on friends, and it's fun, but you don't do it when you first meet someone. Not everyone has that kind of humor, and you gotta feel it out first. If you're the kind who has to be in butthole because it's who you are and can tone it down around people who don't like it, then, well, frick you. They tell literally everyone how strong they are and that if they wanted to, they could beat your butt. It annoys the pee out of me, and I can't stand when people do it. Someone who constantly needs to say frick the haters. In my experience, that's the person whom everyone despises. And it always seems that it's those people who are the ones who are doing the most hating also. The person who turns everything into a heated argument, like my brother, who has no idea how to formulate an argument and just ends up insulting the other person. It's annoying as heck, and I'm surprised he has friends. This is my uncle. Every time you disagree with him, it's eye rolls, condescending tone of voice, explanation about how you haven't lived enough. It's not much of a defense of his position and more just insults. Overly competitive for no reason, even on co-op games. If you win they get butt-fat, if they win they throw it in your face. Makes jokes at other people's expense. Also can't ever take a joke back. Never grew out of the middle school days of bullying. Wet willies, bean dips, wedgies, etc. Yells and arguments of any sort in order to win the argument or not letting the other person talk. Pretends like they have never done anything wrong, even if they just did 10 minutes beforehand. Finds the most low self-esteem person in a group and puts them down to make themselves feel better about themselves. Will literally say something along the lines of, "Yeah, I know I'm an butthole. You can ask any of my friends." They just generally identify as a victim. Every encounter in their life victimizes them in some way, and they fall out with new people all the time. There was a guy I went to school with up until the end of high school, and everyone, even teachers, hated him. He would constantly annoy everyone. He'd start crap with people for absolutely no reason. He'd interrupt the class regularly. He tried to act tough, but when someone stepped up to him, he'd run away. He was nearly universally disliked everywhere he went. I had the misfortune of running into him a few months ago, and he's still the same crap disturber he always was. He hasn't grown up, and he tried dragging me into petty drama that I frankly don't have the time nor patience for anymore. I told him not to speak to me again, and blocked him on everything I could think of. The one-upper who often invalidates others instead of supporting them. When you tell them that something bad happened, they got to complain how they have it worse than you, like they're in a pain contest. Or instead of being happy for you when something good happened, they got to brag about how they have it better than you. I see you know my sister-in-law. The person at work who acts entitled and superior to most their co-workers but leaves early or takes off for entire shifts more often than anyone can hardly count. Then complains about being behind on their work when they are actually at work. People who scream at their loudspeaker phone while talking on the phone. Why mic-enabled earphones are so freaking cheap. Nobody wants to hear your dang phone conversations. Especially when you're talking about intimate things. Plays music through phone speaker and not headphones on bus. What? I'm certain these people are just hoping somebody says something to them so they can start crap. It's always a very specific kind of person that does this. The overly nice, sickly sweet public personality with venom underneath. Especially uncomfortable when the person is terrible at keeping that nice act up. My mother was one of those. I didn't realize how many people actively disliked her until I cut contact and opened up a bit. The umbrage. You ever make a friend and slowly all the other people you know drop off out of your life? You've just made friends with that person everyone hates. Any IG photo captioned, "What's your excuse?" Like, I'm so glad you've devoted your life to whatever you chose for yourself. But being unable to even conceive that others have different priorities makes you clueless and insufferable. The people who drive through residential neighborhoods late on weeknights with their ridiculous sound systems blaring music so loud that it shakes the windows of your house. You just don't understand how important bagpipe music is to me, and that I must share my love for it with everyone in 2-mile radius. When you're telling them about something that happened, like you getting hurt, and they interrupt and go, "Oh, you think that's bad?" Well, I proceeds to complain about them getting hurt worse than you as if it's cool and better. My girlfriend does this whenever I complain about some of the dangerous and life-threatening stuff I deal with at work. Her response is, "Well, today at the daycare this kid did this to me and that kid was bad to the others. Yeah, they are kids." Meanwhile, my complaints about most likely having throat cancer in 10+ years are brushed under the rug. If they use quotes such as, "If you can't accept me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best," completely seriously, when they try desperately to be grown up all the time, and end up just being a boring person who complains about everything. Everyone knew the one kid who thought they were more mature and grown up than all the other kids, but they were just a giant buzzkill. Kid get hurt or sick. Fighting with a partner. Your second cousin's cat died. Better post it all on Facebook in real time. The person who never lets anyone finish talking. Do it this way. Do it this way. I know you're doing it this way, but I want to make sure you remember to do it this way. Once a classmate told me I have a lot of pride. Even if I'm wrong, I will never apologize. She seemed to find it totally normal. Big red flag. She was also very insolent to her teachers and thought it made her cool. Second big red flag. Also, she told me once her parents taught her how to steal. Third big red flag. And others. Almost everyone in my class hated her. She is so annoying and I don't see her changing a bit in future years. Should I specify that she is legally an adult? The worst part is she has the insight to see what she's doing, but not adjust her actions. This is usually towards a group of these people, but those group of kids at school who are always obnoxiously loud and interruptive towards the whole class and don't seem to give a rat's butt about their education and others too. Grown person smoking within inches of their kid. When I smoked, I wouldn't even smoke with my dog in the car, but my grandpa wouldn't let me crack the window. I saw a lady smoking outside of the gas station with her 2 kids standing beside her. She was freaking pregnant. On top of that, she had parked at the gas pump, went to go buy food inside, stood outside to smoke a cigarette, then finally decided to pump her gas. Real piece of work, that one. People who are mean to kids and animals or even just fail to do basic easy kindnesses like using their blinker and returning their shopping cart. The overly sexually toxic person who makes vulgar sexual remarks about every woman he sees. Like, dude, stfu. I'm a dude and even I find that behavior offensive and dude I am a W. I will sleep with anything and even I have more class than you. Learn social etiquette you goddamn caveman. Man, as a lifer in the construction industry, I've heard my co-workers say things that makes my skin crawl to the point of wanting to smack them. And I'm a young guy who's expected to join in or laugh at this crap. Like, no Dave, you're 55 with no teeth. I don't wanna hear you talk about what did you do with that woman. People that think it's okay to use a speaker on their phone for a personal call while they're in public. I saw a guy do this at a urinal in a public restroom once and I have no idea why he thought that was a good idea. Oh, and the person in my neighborhood that has a sticker on their truck that reads "My other toy is T." This type of person. Nobody likes you. We all tolerate you. Being told not to socialize with a co-worker the second you get hired. Sure enough, she was sticking a raccoon penis bone in everyone's drink at the work Christmas party. The person who starts talking crap about their friend, as soon as they are out of the conversation, or sharing someone's secret in front of people who have no business of knowing it, as a failed attempt to portray themselves as cool. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. I've never met anyone that has sincerely said this and not been a total dumpster fire of a person. That Bo Burnham looking guy in your college class. No disrespect to Bo, I love him, but he looks like the guy in this scenario who calmly raises his hand and counterpoints what the entire class has been discussing. The good old devil's his advocate for no reason. Actually, slavery was insert crap but take about how it wasn't all that terrible here. When people leave when you sit down. My in-laws do this to me. My husband doesn't think it is an issue. I am not sure what I did or when, but I obviously did something. The first 10 years I tried. The next 10 years I was angry. Now I am ambivalent. It is out of my control. Personally, I've always had a problem with people that overstep because they think the two of you are closer than they actually are. I feel bad because obviously they must not have many actual close relationships with people, but it's because they obnoxiously force a relationship with people they barely know rather than let it grow naturally. I've had this happen to me a few times, but the current one that comes to mind I was introduced to once and had maybe 3 minutes of small talk with, but following was constant FB messages and double texts if I didn't respond in the hour, asking very personal questions, trying to get me to change plans to see her, and interrupting my time spent with others if she happens to run into me in person. My boyfriend and friends within the same community have had the same experience with her, so she's become that person that everyone hates in an attempt to be the person that everyone loves. A girl in my class doesn't know how to be quiet. She fills any silence with a story about her life. It usually results in us smiling quietly and then slowly walking away to go somewhere else. Social anxiety, it's a B. Even as she's telling the story, she's screaming at herself inside to shut up. Those few seconds after the last person walks away are some dark moments inside. That person who walks through school with music blaring from their Bluetooth speakers. Like, okay, we get it. You enjoy that music and you think it makes you look cool, but it freaking doesn't. Especially if it's so loud that we can hear it from over 100 meters away. It happened to me a few days ago. I was walking through school and a person who happened to walk by me turned up their music from quiet to ear piercing in a fraction of a second. The entire canteen line, which was about 30-ish meters away, turned to face him with faces of pure shame and disgust. Them and the teachers. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.